Well, it's been a long time since I was president of ComSoc. I think we still used vacuum tubes back then, but maybe not. Anyway, when I took over ComSoc, it was a lot smaller than it is today. We didn't have nearly as many committees, as many conferences, publications, and so forth. But nonetheless, I thought that, gee, we're not being really very efficient here. We got too many committees that don't do anything, too many people on them. So I decided that I should make this run efficiently. So I thought I'd cut back on the committees and on the number of people on them. And I was really amazed because we had grown men almost crying that, you know, I might lose my place on the committee. And then I realized that, you know, efficiency isn't the thing you're trying to achieve here. This is really a social network kind of a thing. You know, this was our social network before there was an internet or anything. It's where we all came together to get to know each other and to enhance our professionalism. And hey, the more committees, maybe the better. And so I quickly got over that. And then I remember a time when one of the older engineers on our governing board said, you know, this new magazine that we have, Communication Magazine, is really important because nobody can read the transactions. And I thought, this poor old guy, he can't read the transactions. But then I realized I can't read it either. You know, maybe in the whole history of technology, no one has ever sat down and read cover to cover transactions as if it were a novel. It just isn't done. That's not the way it worked. And so I began to realize how important it was to have those kinds of publications. But the most important thing I did probably had nothing to do with being president or anything. It was a lunch in New York with my friends Jack Saltz and Don Schilling when we came up with the idea of the Communication Theory Workshop. And ever since there have been wonderful meetings in great places like the Alisal Ranch above Santa Barbara, where we got to know each other. And that was so important. And I hope that in these days of internet, email, and social networking on the internet, I hope that this face-to-face thing is still important, because I just treasure all the friends I made and the times that we spent together. And you know something? I miss it.
Hello, I'm Jack McDonald, president of ComSoc in 1988 and 1989. It's hard to believe, but that was 25 years ago. At that time, our technologies were not nearly as advanced as they are today. We were converting public networks from analog technology that had served customers well for 100 years into digital. We were connecting computers together using advanced modems at 9600 bits per second, and local area networks were rapidly being used. The ISDN was a concept that provided end-to-end connectivity of importance. But can you imagine, 25 years ago, technologies that are available today were not available, such as the World Wide Web with DSL and cable, such as digital cellular, such as Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Compression wasn't nearly as advanced as it is today, where it provides DVDs and high-definition video. During this 25 years, ComSoc has provided a venue for authors to present the results of their research in magazines and at conferences. Volunteers have provided the venue for these conferences and publications. Volunteers have been session chairmen, they've been editors, they've been peer reviewers, and it's been a very important part of growing the technology that these volunteers have provided, and I want to thank them for their excellent work. During the next 25 years, it's going to be difficult to predict the future, and I'd like to quote from Yogi Berra. Yogi said, "It's tough to make predictions, especially about the future." Thank you very much.
When I took over the job of herding the cats in 1992, there appeared to be two things about ComSoc that needed fixing. It was too American, and it was dominated by theory and not by practice. We started fixing the first of these by making sure that every other Globecom or ICC was held outside the U.S. My successors, particularly my immediate successor, Mario De Cina, continued this process, and if you now consult our directory of meetings and also the governance of the society, you'd have to admit that the effort has succeeded brilliantly. As for making ComSoc serve the practicing engineer better than it has served the researcher or PhD thesis author, here too the accomplishments have been amazing, but in some ways this is still a work in progress.
I became president of our beloved Communications Society in 1994. At that time, ComSoc was facing two major strategic developments. On one side, Internet was emerging as the disruptive force to shape the future of technology and of our everyday life. On the other hand, international participation to ComSoc activities was becoming an imperative to reach the needed degree of globalization stimulated by the Internet itself. In 1994, together with Steve Weinstein, who was leading the Society Technical Affairs, we reflected on the future directions of technology and launched intensive publication and conference programs to cope with the explosive growth of the Internet and of wireless communications. The strong development of ComSoc towards Internet and globalization occurred indeed during the second half of the 90s, thanks to the precious contributions given by a number of visionary volunteers involved in the management of the society. Beyond Steve Weinstein, I like to mention here Dick Skillen in his famous strategic globalization plan, the Skillen Report, Roberto De Marca, who is today president of the IEEE, Celia Desmond, and many others. Each of them pursued with determination the establishment of the Global Communications Society, signing partnership agreements with national professional societies around the world, the sister societies. ComSoc membership and activities are today truly global thanks to these volunteers.
Hi, I'm Steve Weinstein, ComSoc's president in 1996-97 and 2012 chair of ComSoc's History Committee. I've been a member of IEEE and ComSoc for more than 50 years, beginning with a predecessor of IEEE, the IRE. Back then, optical communications, cellular mobile, computer communications, and the Internet were just dreams. But by the late 60s, computer communication networks existed and packet communications was being developed. I remember a coming out party for ARPANET in Washington, D.C. in the fall of 1972. People at terminals were demonstrating remote login, file transfer, email, and other key services. I knew our modem work at Bell Labs was relevant, but I sometimes wondered if I shouldn't have jumped into packet communications as well. We in ComSoc have taken many steps to bridge the divide between the computer science and physical communications communities, including creating the IEEE ACM transactions on networking more than 20 years ago, which I helped to negotiate. I'm also proud of my role in transforming our earlier newsletter into Communications magazine in the early 70s, and in negotiating sister society agreements, particularly with KIX in Korea, where I had the honor of working with Gung-Gi Lee in launching the Journal of Communications and Networks. Globalization has been a high priority of many presidents, including my dynamic immediate predecessor, Maurizio Decina, 2000-2001 President Roberto De Marca, who is IEEE's new president-elect, and our distinguished current president, Vijay Bhargava. I remain involved with China Communications, a newly co-sponsored publication of the Chinese Institute of Communications and ComSoc. As we look ahead, I'm confident that the strong foundation built together by volunteers and staff in our society will continue to make our society relevant and influential in the future.
Hi, I'm Tom Plevyak. I was president of the Communications Society in the years 1998 and 1999. Those years closed the 20th century and the second millennium, and were characterized by an almost breathtaking advance in the fields of information and communications technology. High on that list was the Internet. ComSoc as the professional representative, if you will, of the global industry, moved very quickly during that time to welcome Internet community members into the full range of activities of the Communications Society. The various leaders, the staffs that supported the volunteers, all of those people, and on into the future of the society up till now, have based their actions in the society on three principles: professional values, diverse volunteerism, and sound financial management. I'm proud of how that has remained unchanging throughout the entire life of the society, and it will continue to be into its future. What about me? Well, I retired from Verizon's technology planning organization 2 years ago. I took some technical activities with me into retirement. One is the book series that I've done. I do some of the writing and all of the editing. It's in the field of network management, so I enjoy that. But I want to close by saying good luck to the Communications Society. It's a remarkable organization, and my term as president of the society ranks as my finest professional experience.
Hi, I'm Celia Desmond, 2002-2003 President of Communications Society. Those were difficult years for ComSoc. The slump of the communications industry had started earlier, and this was impacting us. Our members and our conference attendees were feeling the pinch as companies faced financial difficulty. We cut out many programs we would have preferred to have. We did decide to continue chapter support as much as possible, and our conferences and our publications all survived. Since holding the office of president 10 years ago, I have remained active in Communications Society. Perhaps the biggest contribution I've had since that time has been the creation of a certification for wireless communications engineering technologies, WCET. I led the team of over 200 professionals which worked together to create the certification we believe will be of value to industry. The team built and delivered questions, exams, a handbook, the WeBook, which is a technical book, and training programs. The associated training has actually kick-started the ComSoc training, which is a very exciting result. The certification still has the potential to become one of the biggest programs ever introduced by ComSoc, certainly in recent years. Together, we provide the best technical information available, and we bring together the top communications engineers from around the world. Why not join us as a volunteer? ComSoc is part of me, and it is wonderful to be part of Communications Society.
It was an honor and privilege for me to serve as president of ComSoc in 2006 and 2007. These 2 years were indeed a high point of my career in the telecom industry. Since I came from an industry background, I tried to introduce relevant activities that are of interest to our industry members, as they constitute the bulk of ComSoc's membership. In the publication area, I started the Industry Leaders Forum in the Communications magazine. We recruited technical and business leaders to write about their own experience at the frontier of communications technology. In the conference area, I set up highly visible industry forums at ICC and GLOCOM for leaders of our industry to share their insights and observations of our fast-changing world. For ICC 2007 at Glasgow, we held IEEE's first CEO Forum, in which some of the most prominent global leaders came to talk about their views on convergence. During these 2 years, ComSoc also witnessed the expansion of its activities in China and India. two countries with the largest number of young ICT professionals. ComSoc officers staged the India roadshows and launched the Industry Now program in India, signed up by 3 Indian companies in 2007. We organized the first ICC conference in China at Beijing, which took place in 2008, and started negotiations with China Institute of Communications, or CIC, our sister society, on jointly publishing the China Communications magazine. 2006 and 2007 are 2 wonderful years for me and my team of ComSoc officers.
Hello, I'm Doug Zuckerman. I was the Communications Society president from 2008 to 2009. What I remember most about my term was the great teamwork that we had between staff and volunteers to do the best job we could for the members. We had a lot of good conferences we were running, a number of new publications were launched, and it was really a good time for all of us involved with it. We not only did we accomplish a lot, but we enjoyed what we were doing. I hope that this continues in the Communications Society for many years to come.
Hi, I'm Byung-Gi Lee, ComSoc President 2010 and 2011. I have to serve my term right after global economic downturn of late 2008. It incurred a big financial deficit to ComSoc of about $1.2 million in 2009. In addition, ComSoc had strong pressure of declining membership, which started in 2001 when ComSoc membership peaked at about 58,000 and continued declining for 10 years to about 43,000. Besides, there was a megatrend of diverse environmental changes, including globalization, convergence of information and communication, industry transformation, and diffusion of social networking services. In order to revitalize ComSoc while keeping abreast with that megatrend, I started my term by introducing ComSoc's Golden Triangle vision with 3 vertices at globalization, young leaders, and industry. Vice presidents and volunteer and staff directors worked very hard to implement that vision by developing new initiatives and programs. Near to the end of my term, we proclaimed ComSoc 2020 vision after 1 year's team study to get prepared for the future while undergoing extensive environmental changes. The various initiatives and programs helped revitalizing ComSoc to a vigorous and agile society. They helped stabilizing ComSoc's finance to a surplus of about $460,000 in 2010 and about $360,000 in 2011. In addition, they helped reviving ComSoc's membership to about 50,000 in 2010 and to about 51,000 in 2011. The 2 years, 2010 and 2011, were wonderful years for ComSoc.
Hello, bonjour, namaste, ni hao, shalom, salamu alaikum. My name is Vijay Bhargava, and I had the pleasure to serve as the president of IEEE Communications Society during its 60th anniversary. I live in British Columbia, Canada, and we say that 60 is not too old for a tree. I would say it is neither too old for a society as we continue to spawn new journal, new conferences, and new program for our membership. The first point that I like to touch is that today our society is truly global. More than half of our members reside outside North America. And this globalization is not just at membership level, it is at all level. The composition of our board is also very global, and I'm pleased to tell you that this year, for the first time, we have an appointed board member from India, and similarly, for the first time, we have an appointed board member from Africa. Let me now talk about some of the new initiatives in the journals and conferences that the Society has taken this year and in coming year. Earlier this year, we launched IEEE wireless communication letters to relieve pressure on our IEEE transaction on wireless communication. In August of this year, after many years of negotiation, we were able to conclude agreement with the China Institute of Communication to have Chinacom as a joint publication between the IEEE and China Institute of Communication. On the conference area, we continue to serve our membership with our well-established portfolio of conferences and starting new conferences in area. But let me talk here about the new initiative that we took in China this year, which was the hosting of ICC China in Beijing. Destined to be an annual conference within the Greater China. This conference will be an annual event, and the next one has already been scheduled to be held in the beautiful city of Xi'an, known for the famous terracotta warrior. On the technical activity sides, we continue to be very active in looking after emerging technologies. We already have ad hoc committee on cloud communication and on a smart grid, as well as the Committee on Emerging Technologies that is doing due diligence to see what further opportunities come our way. On the education side, this year we have launched additional courses, more so than before, which have the potential to generate revenue for IEEE Communication Society. And of course, our usual membership programs continue to be strong and attract new members. Perhaps I could close by saying that the Society is strong, thanks largely to a very large number of volunteers, its Board of Governors, ably supported by our hardworking staff that is led by our Executive Director, Jack Havel. So I would like to say thank you, arigato, dankeschön, mille grazie. So long for now, and I look forward to seeing many of you in person.